Well, if everybody's good, then let's go. Episode 6.
We recording?
We are recording. Stuck on Stuff. We are here, yo.
What's good, Stiz?
Snuk, what up?
Chilling, baby.
So, for today's guest, we got filmmaker, actor, writer, award-winning filmmaker, Johnny Hickey. Make some noise for Johnny Hickey.
What is up?
Yeah.
What's up, brother?
What's going on, gang?
Chilling, man.
So, Johnny, we wanted to get you in here. Now, I know Johnny. I met Johnny. So I'm gonna call him Hickey. That's really what. That's what I'm gonna call him Hickey from now on.
Is that what you go by?
You know what? That was my name. That was my neighborhood name for sure. Was Hickey.
When you were a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
So we wanted to bring Johnny on here and talk about how Johnny came up.
As he calls you Johnny.
I thought he was gonna
I
call
know.
me Hickey.
I know, right? I'm so dumb.
I was thinking that too.
Talk about how Hickey came up, how you got into filmmaking, how we met, and also clear the air. Because, I mean, let's just keep it real. You can't be a controversial person. So
right, why not?
Let's clear the air and let's get Hickey's side of the story.
Still been through some shit, too. I was reading up on, dude.
Yes, Hickey has definitely been through some shit, and we'll talk about all that. So let's go. Where'd you come from?
Chicopee.
Chicopee,
Mass.
For real?
No.
Oh, yo, you know what's so funny? Yo, one of my first shows was out in Chicopee. Yo, they showed me mad love.
Seriously?
Yeah, this dude, like the very first
Where's
studio.
That, like, out west or something?
Yeah, it's out west,
It's
like by Springfield.
One of the comedy clubs that the Comedy Connection owns. That's the only reason I even know what Chicopee is, and it's actually
right, because you were big into comedy shit. You were telling me.
Yeah, that I started my career in comedy, working in comedy, not as a stand-up comedian, but I'm from Charlestown, born and raised in Charlestown. Senior in high school, moved to Gloucester. My mother became a teacher, so I was like on welfare in the projects my whole life growing up, like in the bricks. Yep. And then at like a weird age, 17, my mother, the whole time thinking about my mom was like going to Bunker Hill Community College, got her associates, went to Suffolk, would take the T-bus, take out loans, financial aid when she was in community college, all that stuff.
So it was grinding.
Yep.
Grinding, but one of the very few women in the Bunker Hill projects to not be just collecting a welfare check and getting high and you know what I mean. She was trying to get me and my brother out of the PJs.
Just real quick, shout out moms who come from the projects.
Absolutely.
My mom also came from the Chelsea projects.
Always, it's tough, as you know. So, and she did it, but she did it at a weight age for me. So I did really good. Like I won state science fairs when I was in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, all the way to my freshman year. I won a state science fair. I was like the only Caucasian in Mass to win a state science fair.
Really?
Yeah, for real. And I did like a lot of environmental projects, which is very bizarre coming from me, obviously. And then, you know, things I did in Charlestown growing up weren't things that really drew attention to you legally or anything, because it was in a neighborhood that was used to like way worse stuff going on.
Right.
And the second I got
just like
you, kid.
Just so it's not
I know what I'm doing, kid.
Into it.
The second I got implanted into Gloucester at 17, like, a year of high school left to go from Charlestown High, which is like Suffolk County Jail, to like that's like there's like tables, neighborhoods in the cafeteria at school. When I went there, it was probably like 4 of us from Charlestown, and then everybody else bust in. So
because how old are you?
I'm 35.
35.
82.
So you were a little. I'm 85, 32. So you were a little past the busing, right? That was before your time.
Yeah, but but my first, the thing that drew,
I'm so dumb.
A great segue from that is though, the first film I was ever in was about bus, and it was called Common Ground. It was actually a miniseries with Jane Curtin on, like NBC, and I was, I don't know, probably like 10. Probably around Jaybird's age. I was like young, and
was it like a weekly special or something?
Yeah, it was like a two-part miniseries, like kind of like It Was, like, but about the busing crisis in the 70s. But they shot it in the 80s, early 90s, and I think it was like 89, I forget. But anyway, so I was an extra, casted as an extra, one of the kid to be in the parade, and my role got bumped up to like being Jane Curtin's son's friend, and I said like one word like hey to hi to the like someone like the mayor.
How the hell did you even get like?
They came down to the church, St. Catherine's in Charlestown, and said, hey, if anybody wants to make money being in a movie, we want real people from the neighborhood. So my mother brought me in, like in a Barracuda jacket and all this weird stuff, and they picked me. But so this is the story of where I want to be a filmmaker and I want to make movies and be an actor.
Because how old are you at that point?
I'm like Bird's age, so I'm like 10.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Like, I'm young, I'm like 10, 12. I'm very young still. I can't remember the exact age.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you that if you had always wanted to make the movies, or if just because of how your life turned it out and the things that happened to you, that you want to give that story and then so you made the movie.
This was the moment. This miniseries was the moment, and the reason why was every day. So I was on like every day. I was only on it like 3 or 4 days, but I think the pay was like $60. It wasn't even what it is now. But for a kid in Charlestown, the projects, it's like, wow, I'm getting money.
And to be on TV?
Yeah, and get to be on TV and get paid as a kid,
Sign me
and
up.
as a child, get a check that your mother has to take. But you know what I mean? But your money.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool. And then everybody was like, oh, Johnny, Johnny. Like all my friends and like my mother's, like the other parents, because my role got bumped up to saying hi to the mayor in the parade or something.
Major role.
Yeah, right. So, but to go from just standing there to saying something's a big deal. At that time,
at 10, that's a major role.
At the time, I didn't realize how big of a deal that was. It was just exciting
because
to
it set
me.
you down a path that you'd end up following for your whole life.
But so the first 2 days, they would separate the main cast. So like Jane Curtin, like the people from New York and Hollywood that were there acting, and then the Charlestown neighborhood project people, and they would bring us to St. Catherine's, which is my church and the projects where I shot Oxy-Morons, and then they would take them. Charlestown's only a square mile up over the hill to one of the only other 3 churches in the community, St. Mary's, and I'd be like, why did they go to St. Mary's? And why do we go here? So I asked the kid who was like the speaking role that I was like his friend in the parade, where do you guys go for like lunch? Because we go down to St. Catherine's, the hall, the bingo hall.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Get a bologna sandwich, an apple, and a milk. And he's like, oh, we go and we have cake. And he's explaining it to me. I've never seen anything like this.
Like catering and stuff?
Yeah. So when I'm a kid in Charlestown, there's like the 99 restaurant, and that's like a big deal. Like that, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, like fancy stuff just didn't exist to me in my world. So I'm like, screw this. I'm going to fucking get on this bus with them in this van with them, and I'm going to go to St. Mary's. I'm going to see what this is all about. So the bus pulls up. And they're getting on, and I just could tell that like, when I was young, I was like Jay Bird. I'm like had this like
You keep saying Jay Bird.
I'm sorry because my daughter's here. She's always with me. I'm sorry
Jay
people
Bird.
don't know. I apologize, but it references because it's the same age at that time, and I had this I just wasn't afraid to do things, so I jumped in this van with them, and I'm like waiting for someone to say something. And no one says anything. Door slams shut. I'm like, clear. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I'm coming to eat. Like, I'm coming to.
Hell yeah.
And he's like, all right, cool. Like, so I went in. Anyways, I sneak into St. Mary's, and it's got like chicken salad, just like, catered food, but stuff that I was. But everyone was just like, it was just a vibe there, this energy in the room where everything was like way better than anything I had ever seen in my life, and where everybody else was in the projects. And I'm like, I want this. This is what I want. I want to be here someday, not sneaking in.
And movie sets, bro. It's not like you're walking on to like It's not like a job at McDonald's, yo. Like that shit is. I mean, you got a creative thing like that, yo. It's not like your everyday job. You know what I mean? It's a whole different atmosphere.
So
after that first thing. That's like just a little taste right there. When, you said one line or whatever.
Yo, I know you are the smartest person ever, but it's like it's sounding shitty. It's just
for real.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Money,
I think the mic was just
mics.
dropped.
Yeah. The mics. You have to like speak right into the front of these fuckers.
It's like that every show I go on. I gotta make out with the fucking thing.
So get on the bus. Oh wait.
No, I'm saying what was next after that? Dude. What was after the 10-year-old one-liner?
So after that, it was my life just in Charlestown. I didn't do anything else. I did an Orange Julius commercial, actually, which was kind of cool.
What the fuck is that?
I was one of the kids sticking the straw in the orange. Orange Julius. I was like a little dark kid, like trying to stab the thing with an Oshkosh shirt on.
Oshkosh bagosh.
And I don't even know if I just made that up. I don't know if that's what I was fucking wearing. But so then I didn't do anything else, and then. I grew up in Charlestown. I did science fairs, and I lost that moment where I had any attachment to that world because there was no tax credit here back then. There weren't multiple. The only thing going on was Spencer for Hire.
What the fuck is Spencer for Hire?
Spencer for Hire was a TV show that they used to film in Charlestown and all around Boston. I didn't even remember the guy's name. I think he was like I think he ended up becoming like a James Bond or some shit.
What was it on like?
It was not. It was not. I don't even know, dude. Whatever the. Like 25 was back then,
How long before you go from doing that, what we were just talking about, to being known from law enforcement as one of the most notorious
we'll fast forward through that part for a minute. I'm sure you guys might want to come back to that stuff. But, so I
want the juice.
17, I moved to Gloucester. I get into a fist fight at the school, like halfway through my senior year. And I get expelled, which is unheard of for a fist fight, even though I fucked the kid up. And they sent me to jail. I was 17 years old, so I'm not even legal. It's not even legal for me to go get scratch tickets, cigarettes, booze, whatever.
Crazy. Yeah, 17 is the age where they can.
But I have no juvenile record and no real prior record at all.
Just a fight.
Just a fight. I broke the kid's nose, but still, like jail, like Middleton jail with heroin dealers from Lawrence and wherever, and all this, and Spanish gangs, and
shout
just
out Lawtown.
Shout out Lawtown. But no, but that's the world of Essex County. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm a kid from Charlestown. I'm 17. I haven't been in trouble my whole life, and you throw me in for 10 days, and the 10 days turns to 30 days, and the 30 days turns to 6 months, and the 6 months turns to a year. Because what they do is they do this revolving door thing where we'll give you 10 days, we'll give them 10 days, but 30 days probation.
Okay.
And then every time you mess up, now they got you. Now I'm a kid from Charlestown in Gloucester, Massachusetts.
I can definitely, there was like a good, I would say, I'm not even lying, maybe like a 12-year period where either I was on probation or I had an open case, or like, you know what I mean, where you're just in the system. Right. You're in that fucking revolving door.
When they get you on those things, as you're advancing as a criminal and learning more things, some people or most people, every time you do something different now, they hit you with more time. So the time starts to stack up, you know? You start with the 10-day, the 30-day, and then you go down the road of a year to eventually, I ended up doing 3 years. I got 2.5 years to serve for multiple drug distribution charges, possession of a firearm, assault and batteries. And then I escaped from a minimum prison in Lawrence. Shout out to Lawtown.
Hold on, what are you talking about, the farm?
Yeah, the farm. I escaped from the farm.
You know this place?
Yeah, the farm's like right on the highway.
Yeah, it's a minimum security. Like
they like you can chill, you can kind of.
I don't know why.
It's still technically
like
jail,
that,
though.
Mike. Can you hear it? It's just like echoey or some
Is it?
shit. Yeah, like sometimes.
I don't know.
I think it's partially his voice with the mic. It's just how it sounds. I don't think it's unclear.
Nah, but
because it usually.
I've been killing this shit every week.
Yeah.
I do feel like I have to be yelling though.
I don't know. Maybe just try to push it up a little. I think up if you're gonna go anywhere.
I don't know, yo. I think it's
that's a little bit. That's a little. I don't know.
I don't want to block dude's face too, though.
Oh yeah, that's right too. Fuck. All right, whatever. So, wait, yo. So what the hell? What? You just?
How do you dip out of the farm? Because I never been in the farm, but I drive by it all the time, and I always wonder, yo. I see the cops chilling though. I know they chill over at the thing. But.
So people are always like, oh, why'd you escape? You're an idiot because it's such a soft bid, you know that part of. But normally when you go to the farm, it's at the end of your sentence. So normally you got like 2 years in, and it's your last 6 months. You go there to reintegrate back into society, go on work release, yada, yada, yada. I flipped something and got there basically with 2 years left, 6 months in. So it was like reverse. So even though I had a connection at the sheriff's department in Essex County through my attorney and some money, politics stuff, right? That didn't make the guys that run the farm, like that superintendent there, still dislike me that I somehow was there with 2 years left. So they didn't let me go on work release. They would treat me like a bitch. And then I was in a room where someone was smoking a cigarette. You're not allowed to smoke there, but cigarettes get in because people bring them back from work release all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a smoker, as you know, but I'm in the room, so they just put it on me too. And I got taken down to basically where they ship you out back to the main jail, the maximum security, and I'm going to be in the hole now for 30 days in July because I was near a room where someone was smoking a cigarette because these people have a hard-on for me.
Right.
And the guy, his name was Fanari at the time, was so mad that I was there and couldn't wait for me to get in trouble, said, keep him, hold him, and I'm gonna drive him back myself. It's that vicious, dude. No bullshit, right? So I was
Crazy.
like, I get sent back up to my dorm room, and I'm like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And I literally found some kid that had snuck a cell phone in and would charge people money. I'm like, give me a phone, took it, called a ride, got a ride up on 495 under the billboard, set the time up. So at night, every hour there, on the hour, you have to do a standing count. So you stand by a bunk.
Listen
and they
up
count
if you're in the farm.
Yeah, they do a standing count. And then at nighttime, like I think it was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., you're just in your bed. You know what I mean? And they come by and count you in your bed. They're not going to wake you up, you know, because you get up for work and stuff. So I made a fake dummy in my bed. I made a body in my bed. I went down to the kitchen, and this is a roll of the dice. That I just know that the kitchen cop will take people out into the parking lot to dump trash. And then there's a fence, but you can hop it. It's got barbed wire and stuff, but if you a ninja enough, you can get over that shit. You know what I mean? If you want out enough, you can get over that shit. And all you got to do is clear these two doors that lock behind each other, like glass doors, but you can get out there if you're with an officer, you know? So I went down, I just started bagging up trash, and he's like, oh, what happened? And I'm like, I got caught smoking a cigarette, so they're making me do the trash runs tonight. I'm going to be doing the hallways late, like they keep me up. He's like, oh, all right, yeah, and didn't even check. And I was like, oh, I was just going to, and just had the trash on my bag. I went through the doors, they buzzed them, and it just happened to be fucking downpouring out. Because I'm thinking now when I'm in the park, I'm going to have to snuff the cop, pick up an assault charge on top of the escape eventually. You know
How old are you?
Oh, dude, it was like 19, 20 at this time, yeah.
Yo, it's funny, like, how, you know, like, That's smart. You know what I mean? Think about the planning and the things you have to think of in order to do something like that. So it's funny how people can be like smart and like use it for like good or like you can use it to be.
What did they
not
tag
saying
on?
that you're like a, whatever, but it's
and
just,
are you even thinking about that at the
No,
time?
I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking, get the fuck out.
Because you're 19.
And how am I going to beat them? Because they have a 24-hour recovery rate, the Essex County, Massachusetts apprehension team. They have a recovery rate average of within 24 hours. They get anybody who ever tries to leave the farm.
Did you know? Did you even know that?
Yeah, because so when I was at the main jail, one of the sergeants was on the the hunt team, the apprehension team, and he would tell stories about prior escapes before when people took off. When most people wouldn't escape from the farm, they would wait till they were brought on work release and they would take off on the highway or they'd take off at the job or whatever they were at. No one really escaped from the building per se, but me, I guess, maybe somebody else did, but not that I know of. So I knew that the stories he would tell in the unit, we would like clean, like so you clean, and like some people talk and become friends with them to get cookies and brownies and milks and whatever extra shit that's of value that you don't even consider a value on the streets, obviously. And then, I always was a firm believer and was taught, get 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth for a reason. Listen and watch more, talk less. Mm-hmm. And so I would just listen to the stories. And I would just let them go, let the guy talk about this, and this is how we do this. So I knew how they operated already in my head. And I knew they immediately, because you're an escaped felon, can get a warrant to tap anyone's phone line who's written you a letter, visited you, family members, prior addresses, lawyers, whatever. Right down the line, they can just tap because you're an escaped convict. There's no like rule against tapping and stuff for that. So I knew that, and I knew they would go right to like all the main people's house. So when I got out, what I did was I would call different so I'd be in Rhode Island, and I would purposely call from Rhode Island on a payphone and tell my mom or whoever, hey, I'm in Rhode Island, I'm good, this is where I'm staying, come here and see me, I'm going to be down here laying low. And I know that the 40-man apprehension team was now on their way to Rhode Island, and I was on my way to New Hampshire. Vermont was where I ended up getting pinched eventually. They were tracing cell phones that I got, and someone dialed me out and gave up the number I was using, and, I got hemmed up. And to answer your question, I ended up getting 6 months on and after, which is like nothing. I got 6 months on and after.
Not at the farm this time, though, right?
No, not at the farm ever again. So... Not a lot of things. You get punished forever because of that. If you're so you need to straighten out or be ready to get slapped around a lot.
You got to escape. You have an escape thing on your record.
So during this time, so once you get that 6 months, because somehow it turns into what? Altogether 3 years.
Yeah. So I had a 2.5-year sentence. So basically, the 6 months I had already done before the escape, they gave me that back. So it was like that time was negative, pretty much. Yeah. And then I bounced around. I get into fights, and I do it on purpose sometimes because you want to try to get moved because you want to break up your bid because, like, Essex County is miserable. There's no movement. Right. So I get into a beef, and I get shipped to Billerica. And then I'm in Billerica.
That's not a bad hit.
No, it was called the House of Pancakes at the time. We had cookouts. It was, like, nuts. Right. And there was all townies there. They were all kids I grew up with in Charlestown and, like, friends and stuff. There was no one from Charlestown. There was one person from Charlestown with me in Essex, and then Billerica was, like, they would have to move us around because they didn't want 4 or 5 of us together or whatever. I was in the drug unit there with HBO, and it was nuts. And I mean,
what was HBO just doing?
There's a main room, and there's a main room.
Oh,
no, there's a main
room
and HBO and TV, dude. At night, like watching HBO in your dorm with no locks. It's just like crazy, It was like easy time, is what I'm saying.
So you start coming up with like, you start producing like the Oxy-Morons screenplay while you're in there.
Well, yeah. So what happens is at that bid, a kid came in that was heavily, God rest his soul, my boy Sean. He was heavily involved in the original like Oxy, like being out in pharmacies and stuff. Like I didn't even know what it was yet. It was coming out while I'm away,
What, OCs in general?
Yeah, people starting to get bopped in like 01, you know what I mean? It's like becoming I had heard, they've been around, but I was like out and doing raves with like ecstasy and cat tranquilizer, and no one was doing and now,
no bullshit, shout out Special K.
Special K, American label, Fort Dodge.
Yo, I remember we used to get the little vials. I used to chill with these people and stone them, bro. They did all types of weird fucking drugs.
Kid in my high school died from Special K. I was
really?
Like, the fuck is Special K?
Damn. We would get it in a vial. It would have like all Chinese on it. You would pour it in
That's
a...
the bad stuff.
Really?
Yeah, you always want American label anything.
This was having the Chinese version.
Of course he was.
You would pour it in like a glass baking sheet and put it in the oven, bake it for like, I don't know, 20 minutes at 400 degrees, and then take it out, and then take like a razor blade and scrape what had now that liquid that had cooked, and it would be powder. You know what I mean? Crazy,
and
bro.
What was crazy about that stuff is
there
were different ways to cook it, like how he mentioned in the oven. But every way you cooked it was almost like a different intensity of the high.
Really,
the best way to cook it was to air dry it, put it on a plate, and leave it out in a place where nothing fell on it, and let it dry. A blow dryer was always second best. Microwave was last. Bacon in the oven was another common way, but you had to keep the heat at a certain level so it didn't burn off if you lost it all. Yeah. But that was what I was used to. When I went away, that's what I was messing with.
So you weren't even doing opiates. You're not doing Vikes, perks, here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I messed around with stuff, but I was never like slinging them or had a habit on them or anything like that at that point. And then people start coming in, like, when you're doing 2.5 years, like, that's a lot of time. Even though it's a day away from home is a day away from home at the bottom of the day.
Absolutely.
And that's still a small bid to people that do that horrible shit. But, like, anything like a month is like things change so rapidly. Like think of what happens in a year in your life or two. So
imagine someone went into a coma and woke up right before, like when Obama was president, and then they wake up now
and Trump's president.
Trump is president, and you literally had no idea.
That movie.
And then think about this. I heard this week about, because you know how OJ got out too. That they were showing him the iPhone for the first time, because when he went in 9 years, whatever it was, like I guess the iPhone wasn't popping like that or whatever. And I don't know if there's a video of it. If there's, I want to see it. But if you don't know what an iPhone is and you just did 10 years or whatever and you come out, that shit must blow your fucking mind.
Yeah, that means so much changes. But while I was away, people were coming in on Oxy, and I'm like, why is everyone getting pinched on Oxy? I quickly learned right before I was getting out how bad it was, and I got shipped back, and then I end up getting out, and I was like, all right, how do I make money? What's going on? Right. And that was the thing, was like all these. My thing when I got out was like, get the dealers, like get this dude, and this dude that I know are all punks.
So you came at it as a hustler.
Yeah, and I would listen, and people would be like, oh, this one's moving mad 40s, this one's moving this one's moving that, and in my head I'd be like, yo, he's a bitch. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. That's how I'm gonna get on my feet.
Your first thought was money, was dollar signs, not necessarily like doing drugs and shit.
And I'm not proud of that, but like that was my survival mode, and that I had been in my head. I was a criminal now. I was living up to being a solid dude, a tough dude, a respected dude, feared with my crew, whatever bullshit it was, street bullshit it was. That's what else could I be? I can't be the actor I wanted to be now. I can't even get a job as an environmental scientist or working down mass water resources like I was planning my freshman year, because
wow, that's some funny shit. You really like that science shit.
Yeah, dude, I was heavily into the environment and stuff, and now I'm a criminal. Now I just followed suit in all my cousins and my uncles and all these people that grew up in Charlestown before me that did that stuff, and I never wanted to be that person. I always wanted to be better than that, and so fast forward, I end up getting thrown off an 80-foot cliff, being told I'll never walk again, being told I'll never have kids, being told I'll never be able to use my dick again, like all this stuff. Like
quickly, how did you get just thrown off a fucking 80-foot cliff?
Literally, but so I get out of that bid, and I'm running around, getting involved in all the Oxy stuff. And I could feel like the negative energy floating around me. And I still went out that night. I knew I wanted to stay home. I was sick, and I just wanted to. My mother told me to stay in, but I went down anyways. It was this cheesy. Like at a hotel party in Quincy at the Marriott Hotel, me, my homeboy from Somerville, from like Winter Hill, like a Charlestown, Somerville kid. My little brother at the time was like, he was young. He was only like 17, so, but he was he was a townie too, but he was still like a young kid. And then like a party full of like Quincy kids, like Germantown kids, like. And my boy Mikey got into a beef with them in the hotel room. A fight erupted in the room. Crazy thing, everything got broken. Security comes up, throws everybody out. And as we get out into the parking lot, there's like 3 carloads of kids pulling up, and I see them.
Quincy, motherfucker, Quincy!
Exactly, dude. That's how they were doing it. And I told my little brother, I'm like, yo, go hide around the building. I was trying to get my friend Mikey, like, yo, come with me. Like, don't, what are we going to do? Fight 3 carloads of kids? Like, and I don't want to get arrested either. I'm on drug court. And he's like, nah, fuck these bitches, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he had to be like an animal always. And like,
did you say you were on drug court?
Yeah, I was in drug court. Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, 5 years.
So why were you on drug court if you had got out though?
Because that was part of my remainder sentence. Yeah, dude, they want to like. I
completed. I graduated Malden drug court.
Yeah, I finished it in Lynn, dude. Really? So yeah, it was vicious. And
all right, so the fight. So you want to get the fuck out of there?
So I want to get the fuck out of there, and he runs into the crowd of kids and just starts getting whopped. You know what I mean? Like, before I know it, like, his white T-shirt's over his head. It's filled with blood. They're breaking Heineken bottles over his head. Right. And I'm like, what do I do? If I don't hang with my boy, I'm never going to live it down. I'm going to have to beef with him for leaving him, all this, like, stupid stuff. and I do the stupid thing, or maybe it was the smart thing at the time. I don't know. And now, not at the time, and I run into the circle of kids and just like, I'm gonna go down with my boy. But I look for the toughest kid. I suck at the toughest kid because sometimes if you hit the toughest person in the pack, you know, the other dudes will bitch out. And for maybe like, it felt like 3 seconds. I thought that was what was going to happen. Not so much. I woke up 7 days later in BMC, Boston Medical Center, with a dislocated hip, separated pelvic bone, tore my urethra, my bladder exploded.
God damn.
Yeah.
Urethra. He's naming shit I didn't even know we had.
Yeah. And doctors telling me I never walk again, and I never have kids, all this horrible stuff. And what happened for me is I was on morphine. I had never done heroin, but I had done oxys and everything in between. But I had never put a needle. I never even sniffed heroin. But I knew that I was smart. I knew that morphine was pretty much heroin.
Were you like a OC head? Like, were you addicted to OCs?
No, like, dude, not like that.
You were just taking
honestly, I mean, I had like the habit of like doing one every day or two. But I was.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what the fuck? He said, nah, not really. I had a habit of doing like 2 a day.
No, you know what I mean. I'm not heavy. I'm saying not like people were doing like 5 a day. So
I mean, but dog, fam, like you needed to do that. If not, otherwise you would have been sick.
Yeah, but I never got sick. So that was the thing.
Because you always fucking had them.
And then I was in the hospital. But here's the deal. So in the hospital, I'm hitting the morphine button, and that's like the oxy high times 20. I can't even like what. And the thing that I realized in my head was every time I hit that button, it's called the 6-minute button. So every 6 minutes you hit it and you put morphine in you. I wouldn't give a fuck or care that I was never going to walk again, never have kids. It went away.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, dude.
This is awesome.
But I did say that, but I also said this is so awesome that they're not giving this to me when I leave here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to face the fact that I'm not going to be able to walk again. Yeah. And I'm going to be in a shitload of pain. Yep. And the only alternative to this is going to be to stick a needle in my arm that killed someone that was like my sister to me when I was much younger. You know what I mean? And I don't want to ever do that. I don't want to become a heroin addict. So I ripped the morphine, and it was giving me these, every time I come off of it at night, like when it wasn't like the 6 minutes was up or whatever, I would have these hellish nightmares, which I portray in Oxy-Morons, of like acid pouring down my throat with the pills, like very vivid, like they were real, like demonic, crazy, scary shit. I ripped the morphine out of my arm. I went cold turkey, almost 30 days in the hospital, no narcotics, went home with no painkillers. And I truly believe that the mental state that put me in, that I was able to kick opiates at the one time in my life where I have every excuse to do them, is why I was able to walk again miraculously. Like the doctors can't explain it. Why my pelvic bone went to normal on its own.
Miraculously.
Miraculously. And why my urethra healed around the catheter, which it wasn't gonna, and I now have my beautiful daughter, and you know what I mean?
So was it right then, like when you started getting right and you were done with that shit, or that you were like, all right, I'm gonna stop?
It was this manifesting thing that I created in the hospital, and after that, I went home and I went into drug court, and they said, this kid was in and had every excuse to do opiates. We're just going to erase your drug court. So I was like 2 years in on 5 years drug court. They just like threw it out, and I was like, whoa, wow, this is like amazing. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to become a filmmaker. I'm going to write all this stuff that just happened. I'm going to make a movie. I'm going to write movies. I'm going to act. Why, if I can do what all these doctors said I couldn't do again, why can't I do that? That was my dream as a kid. Let's go back to that, dude. Wake up. And I went back to it.
And then your story is like, it writes itself. You don't even need this crazy.
Still writing itself.
Exactly.
Still every day it's writing itself. The 6 degrees of separation. There's 2 things with me. Either I'm lying about all this stuff, right? And but I'm a really good storyteller, right? Or it's true, you know. And you can look it up, and I have all the paper. It's all true. There's no bullshit.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if this is after Oxy or before Oxy, but the Dig article.
The Phoenix article. I know what you're referring to.
There's a Phoenix article out there.
It doesn't exist no more.
Yeah, it doesn't. I went to look for it.
Because the Phoenix.
The Phoenix don't exist no more.
So basically, this stuff was archived. But even after they shut down the Phoenix, all their articles and stuff was still archived for a certain amount of time, I guess, and now it's like it never happened.
In this
that
article,
because I had one. I want to look for it.
In this article of the Phoenix, there was an article written by Chris Ferrone. Was this the first article he ever did?
No. So Ferrone's first article on me was like in 2006 when I was finishing writing Oxy-Morons on the street and working at the Comedy Connection, like booking comedians and doing like night floor management and stuff like that. I just was at Bunker Hill Community College, and I would walk by the Dig every day in the Orange Line and be like, I want to be in that. That's the perfect market for me, and what I'm trying to do is an independent filmmaker from the streets, So I wrote an email to the editor, and they passed on to Ferrone, who was just a new writer there at the time. They're like, you got to go check this kid out. If, like, half of what he's saying is true, it's, like, definitely worth something. And Ferrone came out and met me. And one thing Ferrone would tell you from, like, the day he met me till now is, like, my story never changes. I keep it real. I'm not, like, it is what it is, you know?
Right.
And I got to face that, too, and anything that, you know what I mean? I'm not proud of everything, but whatever's clever, dude. I'm moving, you know.
So I don't know if I want to get all the way into this because I don't want to fast track some shit. But so you are you're starting to come. All right. So you're like, I'm gonna be a filmmaker. This is what I want to do. So you start trying to write Oxy-Morons, or is that how? So you and then you got into.
I come up with the idea in jail because I see it on. I see how vicious it is, and then the story happens where my buddy's bringing in the pills, and he's in protective custody, PC, which you know what I mean. And I'm like, but this kid don't. It'll be like if I seen you, I'd be like, yo, Stiz, why are you in PC, dude? Like,
right.
There's nothing wrong with you. You're a solid kid. You got no weird crimes or anything. And he's like, I got something going. I got something going. And so like PC was here, and the workers unit was here with me and my other friend from Charlestown, and we couldn't figure it out. And then we'd seen him in like the library or something. And he told us through somebody at the library that he had the cop bringing him in the OCs, and so we were trying to get him over to the unit with us, obviously. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which we were doing. So we get him over to the unit with us. We get him moved because I'm like, the dude's up in the middle. He can meet you however, you know? Bottom line, he had a cop bringing him in.
Yeah.
And then all these pills were supposed to come in, and everyone was going to be living lovely on, you know, food, cigarettes, drugs, money, whatever.
Ramen noodles.
All that, all that bullshit. And
squeeze cheese.
I hate it, dude. I hate it with a passion. All that. It's like haunting.
Make a batch. Yo, that's what they do, bro. They take a trash bag, just put mad ramen noodles, fucking salami, fucking squeeze cheese, crushed up Doritos, and just cook it. That's it.
Such a peasant way to live. You know what I mean?
The batch,
I went from a catering on a mini series with Jane Curtin to bags of Doritos and fucking ramen spicy soups. My sodium level jacked, you know.
So you see this shit. You see this shit in jail.
So he's got the guy bringing him in. The guy doesn't come in, so everyone's in a panic. Make a long story short, the CO that was bringing him in for my friend dies on overdoses on the stash. And they go to the house, they find all the stash, they get my buddy, and I'm like, dude, you can't write this shit. I got to start writing all this. And as I'm writing all this, I get out, and it's almost like I put myself in this world deeper in a weird way to know that I was writing a story. So like, I wasn't finished yet with my street life at the time, which led me up to the cliff, which led me up to even more to my story, obviously. In the Phoenix article, how that happened, and you can't even read it now, but how it happened was stretched out from a period of time when I was in drug court before I fell off the cliff to after I fell off the cliff, and that's when I started working with the government.
So that's what the
I was gonna ask you that next because
I don't give a fuck, dude. People don't understand and can't.
So let me ask you because like I said, a lot of people might be unfamiliar with the story, whatever. So I'm reading something right now. It says upon release, Hickey went to work for the federal government, helping law enforcement expose and incarcerate some of the most nefarious oxy dealers in the country.
Yeah,
is that a true statement?
I wouldn't say oxy dealers. Yeah, so it's not oxy dealers in the country. It's OxyContin on the East Coast. Someone that was working with Purdue Pharma at the time, indicted for doing it in other ways outside of like street dealer stuff. Also took down over 2,500 guns coming in over the Canadian border through Minneapolis up on the Mississippi River. I traveled the country taking down things that I was given these, and this is like, believe it or not, I don't give a fuck what you know what I mean? Make a movie about it. I was living under different identities in different places with my daughter, not witness protection. You go in U.S. District Court, if I'm like the rat that, people want to throw that label on me because I did, but let's throw it. You can go in the U.S. District Court, and no matter if I was a confidential informant, secret informant, whatever kind of rat, snitch, stool pigeon that there is, right? There would be documents that don't protect me in the U.S. District Court or even in the state court system that you can publicly look up that would say, Johnny Hickey sat on the stand and said, it was him. Or Johnny Hickey was the confidential informant in this case and gave us all the information regarding XYZ.
You never pointed
the finger. And if you find something like that, slap me in the face.
So I want to say a couple things. Like one, some people do say Hickey's a rat. Hickey's a rat.
And say, who do you rat on?
And I wanted to bring you. I wanted to bring you up here, no bullshit, to tell your side of the story. Because when I first met you a couple years ago, I told you straight up. I said, absolutely. I've heard some shit about you, but you know what? I'm gonna take take a chance because I was just a fan of Oxy-Morons, and I said, I'm going to judge you off how you come off to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to take someone else's word, whatever.
Which is what real people do at
and
the end
so
of the day.
and I will say that, you know, to this point, you've never fucked me. Anything you said that you were going to do, you've done, except for the Gyllenhaal thing, you motherfucker.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah. I'm saying, I'm looking at your IG right now. Now you're kicking it with Jake Gyllenhaal, all these celebs on your IG, and you know.
But hold on. So that article in the Phoenix said, you know, Ferrone's like, yo, I meet Johnny Hickey. He has 10 IDs, all fake IDs, Minneapolis, Illinois, fucking Iowa, Ohio. And, you know, says that, you know, you told him that you were working for the government, bringing down different people. So you said that's true. You asked him that. How the fuck did that even happen? Like, how did someone?
You want that story? I'll give you this.
I mean, I don't need the whole thing.
No, give it to you.
Like,
I'm gonna try to break it down as quick because it's so long, and that's why I said it ties in from before the cliff and during the cliff. Basically, I'm doing the raves. I'm involved in the K and the E. And I'm doing raves up on Route 1 at the Diplomat. I'm doing raves in Rhode Island.
Shout out the Diplomat.
Right, shout out to Diplomat. Right, so I'm doing these all-night rave parties. I'm crushing making money off door fees places. So I'm making money legitimately on top of being involved in the drug scene. I robbed some dudes for a bunch of K from Rhode Island. Shout out to them dudes, wherever they're at. Like this is what I was commonly known to be drug dealers for a long period of time. So a lot of people that talk trash and throw stuff on me, the same people that if they see me in a club or a bar and everywhere I walk with my head held high in this fucking city, they come up and they high five and hug me, and then you're looking at them like, yo, you fucking saying he was, and I laugh in my head.
So you don't have any, so you never have issues with like people roll up and you like, yo, this dude's a snitch, like what's up?
I'll fucking light somebody up if they step to me.
I'm saying, but you haven't come across that?
No, I've been at a few parties where people like try to get big mouth. Not because of that, but that's their way out to get everybody on their side somewhere. Yeah. And I've had my deals, but like
a lot of things is the way. And what happens? The way shit gets written, I read that and I think, oh, snitch. Like if I don't know you,
right?
Because,
exactly.
You know
but I didn't write that. You know what I mean? They're taking this person's taking bits and pieces off of what Ferrone wrote and what I tell and writing their own thing. You know what I mean? I could probably pull 100 like things that you know about me right now that are factual that are wrong in that article. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's.
No, I know.
Journalism
is
loose, goes. Yeah. You know, it's just the same thing as them like saying stuff about Trump or politics or whatever. It's no different with me. It's
You're right.
This is my story. If people want to believe there's 2 sides, 3 sides, whatever, I don't care.
But you were working for the FBI to help bring
FBI,
down.
ATF, DEA, all across the federal government.
Okay.
But what I was doing was definitely different than I wasn't like wearing wires. I was going into different places where they couldn't figure stuff out, and I was figuring out how things were done for them. And then in return, I would get 13% of anything seized, and I was getting paid out cash.
Holy shit.
Which is how I got $50,000 saved and left. I wasn't in and came back and made a movie in the streets of Boston, where I'm from, like right from that. So how much of a snitch am I really? Like back, it's not.
So shit came full circle.
No, and there's mad people with me all the time that are street people that have done crazy stuff that I know about, that are still my friends and still roll with me and still trust me more than anybody.
Right.
You know, the people that talk trash about me are just haters, or someone I robbed, or someone I fucked over in some sort of deal.
And I have
where
those
they
people
jump
too.
on the bandwagon. And with me, it's just way easier to be like, he's a fuck no good this, you know, whatever. And
because I got to figure you came up with street kids. As you were a street kid, you came up with street kids as well. So like you got to think you're not exactly going to be welcomed with open arms if this is what it really is.
I'm going to bounce this story through you guys real quick to end this. You know what I mean? I don't want to stay in this too long. It's a long one, but it's going to make sense. And again, either I'm a really good storyteller or this is somewhat the truth. I am doing the raves. I get these kids. I call up my boy. I'm like, yo, they just jumped me. I got to get out of here. You come get. And he pulls in this Cadillac, all busted up, white thing. And pulls in as I get in, and I just get in with my boy. Like I just need to get out of there. I just get on a mad beef. My sleeves ripped off my shirt.
Where was this?
At the Diplomat.
Oh, at the Diplomat. Yeah.
And he's like, all right. He starts to pull out, and there's a state trooper in the back of the lot, like where the gas station is or whatever. And
this is on Route 1.
On Route 1, yeah. And he's got
I have no idea.
The kid I'm with's got a rejected sticker in his window. Whoop whoop. Pull us over in the parking lot. I'm like, whatever. I haven't done anything wrong. You know what I mean? I'm a drug court, but I haven't done. He's got an inspection sticker that's no good, whatever. But they run my name. They run his name. My record at the time is way worse than his. They run our names together, and they, like, get out of the car. So they get us out of the car, and then they go over, and they take the keys out of the ignition and start walking to the trunk, which is
illegal.
Illegal search and seizure against your Fourth Amendment right. So, but they do it all the time anyways. And a lot of people don't even know that they don't have permission to search a locked container, but they do. And so, but they're two rookie cops. I pick up on that right. It's a girl and a guy, and they're rookies. They're young, and they don't know what they're doing. They're just like, ooh, we got them, you know?
Right.
And my boys just start sweating, like pale, sweating, and I'm like, what? How bad is it in the trunk? Like, is there a dead prostitute in there? Like, what? Like, what?
Dirty.
And they pull fully loaded 35, another like 2-3 guns, over 100 rounds of ammunition, which was totally unneeded for the 3 guns he had in the car, and then like stupid stuff like a machete, knife, and like all this like stupid stuff. But now that I'm done because I'm in the car. I'm just as guilty, even though I'm not driving. It's not my vehicle. And in my head, I'm like, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? And at the time, I knew that they were investigating the diplomat for an ecstasy ring. There was a huge, massive ecstasy ring that they were like people like knew about, like on the streets. And in my head, I was just like, all right. Make up the story, and I took the 2 cops, and I said, "Can I talk to you guys alone?" And they're like, "I'm like, please," and like, "Yeah." And I said, "Listen," I said, "This is my friend. He's just picking me up. I didn't know about anything. I'm an informant. I'm working for the DEA, and I'm here trying to bring down this ecstasy ring. That's why I'm here. I'm here doing buys." And they're like buying my fucking story, and I'm like, "Holy shit! How are they buying the story? Right? How are they buying this?" And it's work. And they go over to my friend, and they're like, and he says the same thing. No, I just picked him up. He didn't know about what was in the trunk of the car. So they're like, well, who do you report to? Like, who's your person? Who's your contact in the DEA? Sponsor, whatever they call it. And I said, in my head, the guy that was the head of the apprehension team, Lonnie Giordano, shout out to Lonnie Giordano, he was the head of the apprehension team that hunted me down and when I escaped, was leaving at the time because he was like up there. He brought me up to his office when they brought me back to the hole that I ended up in for escaping, and was like almost like in a way giving me props but also like being a cop still but how I lasted 6 days on the escape
with a 24-hour
yeah exactly. And then he was bragging about how he was going on to become a DEA agent. So I said, Lonnie Giordano's your DEA agent, and they're like, out of where? I'm like, out of Essex County, North Shore. I said, and they go, and it was a Sunday morning because it was a Saturday night that the rave was. It was a Sunday. Whoever they hit up on a Sunday back then said there is a Lonnie Giordano up in Lowell, and I listened to it over the thing that they were talking on, and I'm like, and they let me go, and they're like, report to your guy tomorrow, and I was like, okay.
Damn.
So I leave, I walk down Route 1 through Revere to Broadway where I'm living at the time, and I can't believe that I just walked away from this. Cut short, I got drug court Wednesday. I go and show face anyways. I don't have a dirty urine. I get called before I go in. There's an ATF agent and a DEA agent in the car across the street. They call my phone privately, tell me to get in, show me this whole folder on my escape and all this stuff and how I can make money working with them, yada, yada, yada. At the time, I'm like, fuck that. I'm a solid kid from Charlestown. I'm not doing that. I can't do that. Like, no thank you, guys. I'm sorry. And I go into drug court anyways and just fucking man up and like I'm probably going to get nabbed. I go in and I don't get nabbed. And they're like, see, we could, and they call me up and like, yo, we could fuck with you, but we're going to give you a shot. That weekend, I get thrown off an 80-foot cliff.
Oh, that was yeah.
Not one of those motherfuckers, and you all know who you are in Germantown, that threw me off the cliff, did I ever snitch on. And if I did, please bring it up and show me your charge for attempted murder and throwing someone off an 80-foot cliff for telling on you, because it never happened, right? So I had Quincy police, state police investigating that in the hospital, telling them to shush. And then I have those same 2 guys and maybe one other third guy that was with them that had met me in the Impala at drug court after I made up that whole story, came to visit me in the hospital. And they're like, you know, when you get out of here, if you're able to, maybe you should think about what we talked about. Drug court at the time is like pissed that I can't come to drug court, but can't do nothing because I'm in the hospital crippled, so they put a bracelet on me, okay? And after I get thrown off the cliff for my boy, who, you know, is back, I'm just living this shitty life and didn't even stay in the hospital, try to take the money out of my pants. I got thrown off a fucking cliff for this kid, and he's trying to take the money out of my pants while I'm in a coma to go get high. And it made no sense. I came out of that state in the hospital very different and was like, yo, fuck all this shit. And then the kid who got pinched with the guns, I know the lawyer. I got him the lawyer. The same lawyer beat my cousin's gun charges years ago in Charlestown for an illegal search and seizure in a duffel bag. And he's telling me, even though he's, you know, whatever, that this dude's trying to flip it on me because they want to flip it on me because I walked away from it. Like, that's what and he's like, but you'll beat it in court because at trial, but he didn't want to take it to trial. So I'm like, all these rules and all these things that I believe in,
a lot going on.
It's all a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, it's just a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree. Like, if you get caught, and me and you get caught robbing a bank, like, I shouldn't tell on you to get an easier time. You shouldn't tell me.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, when they're grabbing people and putting their whole life in front of them and they flip, you can't even say shit unless you've been faced with your whole life being thrown down the toilet. You can say, "Oh, I would never," you know what I mean? And the guys,
you know what?
and the guys that are saying, the majority definitely would, especially with the heroin,
majority does,
especially with the habit. You know what I mean? I never did anything like that. What I said was, you know what? Why don't I give these guys a shot and see what it's all about and see if I can make money and really turn my life around? And I did. I went to something called the CI Fire program. You can try to look it up. Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio. I break it down like that. And then 25 people in the history of the United States from when I went in had ever done this, had ever been hired by the government because they were more intelligent than what they were doing on the streets and try to use them for something for the government to do what they were doing. And that's what I did.
It's like that same type of situation with the Leo shit.
And I was never, but I wasn't in it because I was in trouble. It was voluntary, and anytime I wanted to leave, I could. But most people don't. They end up getting everything paid for the rest of your life. Your apartments, you know, even when you're done working for them, if you stay in with them, everything's paid for. You don't have to pay for anything but the food you eat. You know what I mean? And you save money and whatever.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
And I said, I saved up $50,000. You moving around and everything. I was in Denver, and I was like, making the movie deals at the same time, like via email with people, and bounced and came back and made Oxy-Morons. And that's the story.
Crazy.
And if anybody wants to ask anything in between, whatever, you know.
I mean, that's a crazy story. And now he's taking pictures with Fat Joe and Jake Gyllenhaal, and you know what I'm saying? It's like.
So, Oxy-Morons, Jesus, we're already 46 minutes.
We're at 46?
Yeah.
Yo, I mean, this is a good one. We can keep going.
Yeah, we might have to. I'm only worried about the video. It's going to chop it. I'm almost thinking, like, should we do a part 2 with him?
We could always have him come back, too. But
I feel like we're in the mode. Like, we should just finish it.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do, I'm down, dude. You know,
we should just try to finish this. I mean, even if we'll see where it goes.
No, and I'll tell you what, in all these interviews I've done, it's always been such a time frame that I can't get my story in. You know what I mean? I'm like still filming a documentary about my story that's not done. You know?
Right. So all right. So now, how do you start to make Oxy-Morons? It's not easy to make a fucking movie. So once you have an idea and you have how do you how do you really start putting the pieces together and getting some action done?
So after the cliff, I end up at the Comedy Connection.
So wait, but you stop doing this thing for the government at some point. Yeah, you saved 50 G's.
No, it wasn't. So real quick with the government thing, it wasn't an overnight thing. It wasn't like, hey, yeah, I want to snitch, and like next day, like I was signed up like an informant. It wasn't. Yeah. I had to take tests. I had to go to like 3 different federal buildings. I had to get flown out to New York and back, and like wait to get approved almost a year before they actually put me in this thing and started paying me money. So for that amount of time, I was still home in Boston and had to do and I was trying to get involved with this thing, so I could not fuck up. So I got into Bunker Hill Community College for communications, got a job at the Comedy Connection as a door guy making $10 an hour.
Why did you get a job at the Comedy Connection?
My cousin Mike, who worked there when I was a kid, would always have pictures on his a board like this actually, but like a cork board kind, but like this kind of thing is funny. And he had pictures pinned up from like the early '90s with like Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, this one, all these people that were like really good stand-up comedians at that point in time, but were now massive actors in Hollywood. I said, that is the only way that I'm going to get myself in front of the people that I need. If I could do it around criminals and pretend to be way more of a criminal than I am and all this stuff, then I can definitely get in with these people and charm them and tell them my story, and hopefully they like me. What else? What other way am I going to go to Boston Casting and try to be the pizza guy every couple months?
Right. Shout out Boston Casting. I'm definitely trying to be the boss. I'm definitely trying to be the pizza guy.
And Boston Casting's been very good to me, so I'm not knocking them. Angela Perry's awesome. They're all awesome down there. But that wasn't the way to for me where I wanted to be and where I am now to get there. You know what I mean? That was just a very small part of the rhythm.
So you were just a fan of the comedy shit in general?
Yeah. Well. I mean, who doesn't love comedy, right?
Yeah.
You know, for
me.
But
you were just trying to get a quick way
laughter's the best medicine.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm like, I've gone from this horrible street life to now I'm having Jay Bird, my daughter. I'm having her. I'm working at the Comedy Connection. I'm making a real check every week. I'm getting paid, and I love going over there and hanging with comedians and network. And this comedian knows someone that has a camera, and I'm building this whole network from like the streets now to cameras and Lenny Clark and Dennis Leary.
Shout out Lenny.
Shout out to Lenny. Was the first person who read Oxy-Morons when it was like 30, 40 pages of scribble, but loved it and gave it to Dennis Leary's people at Apostle Pictures that were doing Rescue 911. And one of Dennis Leary's writers worked with me via email and taught me how to write a screenplay, how to download cell text for free and utilize that, and how to like start something and all this basic formula of screenwriting. So thanks to Lenny.
Celltex is like a program that you use to write screenplays.
Correct.
When he sent me the screenplay, that was the first time I never knew what the fuck it was until
It's great software.
That was the first script I ever read anyway.
Also, that just makes it super easy for you to
it
like puts it in that format. You know what I mean?
It's not that hard to write. I mean, you guys write music, so you guys know what that's like, right? So a screenplay is only 80 to 100 pages of a story in your head. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of sitting your ass down and writing the shit and making it bomb and editing and getting it to where you want to be. You know, a lot of people have great ideas and they don't do it. I did it, and I used every connection around me in the comedy world to make this screenplay. I was getting articles in the Dig, and I was on Maddie in the Morning about a screenplay, not about a movie that was made. I was all over the media for a screenplay.
Yeah, that never happens.
Frank Santarelli, shout out to Frank. He's from Ohio. He's a comedian, but he was the bartender on The Sopranos at the Bada Bing. Georgie was his character's name. He was always at the Bada Bing, the bartender. And I
never watched Sopranos.
He's like, I gave him the screenplay. At the same time I gave him the screenplay, Patty Ross was on, and I said, Patty, I'm writing you as the mother in this. I'm changing the name to Patty. You're going to play the mother when I make this movie. Like, it was like an inside joke. But, like, I'm watching Patty Ross on stage. I'm like, man, she's the best Boston woman ever, like, to play a mother. And I had all these ideas in my head. And he's like, I'll see what I can do. And he went out to, record in wherever they were recording, Los Angeles and New York, I think. And shortly thereafter, James Gandolfini got at me through Frank Santarelli. He's like, I want to come back I want to come over to Boston and talk to you about Oxy-Morons. He flew in from New York.
Wow.
Wanted to meet at the Kowloon because he was into Chinese food and had heard so much about the Kowloon.
Shout out to Kowloon. Now, if you want to advertise your service or product on StuckOnStuff at Gmail.
And now at the Kowloon, that's where I was running the second comedy club for the Comedy Connection. Faneuil Hall had bought them out at the time. So this is my comedy stomping ground, and now I'm walking in with James Gandolfini in front of the Wongs to have lunch. They're like,
dope.
So everything just became like that, just him coming and saying he was interested in it. James Gandolfini, God rest his soul, wanted to buy Oxy-Morons, make it about 4 or 5 kids in New York City, and bring another writer in on it, and I would have nothing to do with it.
He wanted a Hollywood.
Yeah, I'd get like 50 grand up front, and a little less than 50 grand up front, and then 15 points on the back end.
And see, that happens with a lot of these movies. Is they'll take the screenplay and they're like, oh,
they option it.
Yeah. I want to do it in New York though. We'll make them be New York kids and this and that.
And what is that 15 points on the back end? That means 15% of all sales on the back end, meaning after it's out,
everything,
after DVDs,
the invisible marketing budget and everything.
So you're not seeing
you ain't seeing
that for years.
No, I'm going to owe money at the end of the day, most likely. It's like really how it is, And for me, Oxy-Morons was such a passionate piece for me. It was loosely based on all these different, loosely based on my life, but deeply based on everyone's life around me too. And I had to switch people around and make like, a girl character story, a guy character, so that person in my head couldn't come at me and say, oh, you used me, and in my family, whatever. So, I had to learn how to do all that as I'm, creating Oxy-Morons, the screenplay. But now Gandolfini comes, and that gave me this like rite of passage, you know what I mean? And it gave me some attention. And then I went on the road. Now the same thing, the government picks me up on Route 1 at the Residence Inn, and I'm out making money, like all over the country. While I'm making money all over the country, my childhood friend David Burns is now moved to Vegas and become this huge...
You know who Google David Burns. You know exactly who this is.
Real World Seattle.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, Real World Cat?
Yeah, he plays my brother in Oxy-Morons.
Yeah.
David's one of my best friends.
What's his last name?
Burns. B-U-R.
That's right. Your people's with CT, right?
CT's one of my best friends, dude. We and CT have been friends since we were like 6 years old. Like,
that's crazy.
He grew up on the bricks. He don't even brag about it at all. He pretends like he's from Methuen, where he moved to when he was like 16.
Told you, I heard he was from Methuen.
That's right.
He did move
there.
But he grew up as a child with me until he was a teenager in the bricks on Decatur Street his whole life. He's a project kid all day long. And moved on to this, crazy stuff that he's doing on MTV, obviously. But
I'm a big fan of this. I fuck with the challenge and all that shit. Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, so, we can get into all that too.
Picks you, boom.
So I'm out. Yeah. So now David Burns, he's one of the few people that I trust to tell this stuff to, so he knows what's going on. While I'm on the road, I bump into a comedian at a hotel in Indianapolis, Shane Moss, that was in the Phoenix article, that I see. And I hate what I'm doing in Indianapolis. I don't want to be there, but I'm doing it, and I want to get out. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to be here for 7 months. I can't do this. I'm going to leave. And then, but if you see anybody you know that knows you, you got to let them know, and then you got to, they got to move, shut it down or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm going into my hotel room. I mean, into the hotel. I'm staying at this like Town Place Suites or whatever.
I don't get it though, Johnny. Like, you literally just go to a fucking city cold. They drop you in fucking Indianapolis. Yep. You do not know anybody. How the
That's the only way. That's the only way for them to safely put somebody in the way.
Yeah, but how the fuck do you even get in with top people?
So, like, I'll give you an example. You want an example?
Yeah.
Well, so Indianapolis. I'll just finish this story real quick. I want to get out of there. And I walk in, and there's Shane Moss, a comedian that I was dealing with the Comedy Connection every week. And I'm like, what's up, Shane? I'm like, let's go have a beer, dude.
There you go.
Yeah.
Boom, I'm out. They got to go to St. Louis, kill some time, don't do anything. I'm just like on a hold there. And then I go to Minneapolis where these Somalian dudes bringing in all these automatic weapons and stuff and other stuff over they don't even know how. They just know they're getting it. And they need a way to, like, they want, all I'm supposed to do in some situations is not even be on the ground meeting you or you. I'm just supposed to be giving it from my perspective of a criminal and where I've been on the streets and what I think. How are they getting that? How are they doing that? What do you think about? It was a lot of that. It was a lot of me just being in a room with 7 people and being like, what do you think of this? What does a red baseball cap mean? What does it mean if people are wearing, their shoes this way? Like, all this, the weird street questions that they don't know. There's no, at the time, like, it's MySpace, like, Facebook isn't huge yet. There's a lot of stuff that still isn't known. As we move on and technology grows, it's easier for anyone to find out anything about it. But this is a point in time where it's still not there quite yet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it'd be the stupidest things. And to the point where I'd be like, yo, just put me here and let me do this and I'll make this happen. And you can't use a car that you seized from that group of people because they're going to remember that car was the dealer car. It's got the same bumper sticker on it. And you guys are doing buys in it now as agents. You're retarded. Right. You know what I mean? And they look at me and be like, oh, my God, he's right. And I'd be like, yeah, dude. Like literally, like, I'm not even, dude, like that. And so I was like, I know that the Somalian dudes, they were all into the women, like models, like these like tall, lanky, like women and things. So I was like, I wanted a business. I started like just saying, what can I get out of this? What are they willing to do? Like, and you put in these like proposals pretty much, and they come back with a yes or a nay. It'd go through like 3 people. And I was like, I need a business. I need a modeling business to bring in models, right? So I can get my smash on. And these dudes I'll start doing these like runway model shows. It was called Posh Management out in Minneapolis. And I was doing these modeling shows where all these dudes were coming in and having their meetings around the world. It wasn't like going to a strip club, but they wanted these fancy, like, fake-ass runway shows. And I knew that the housing development on the other side of the Mississippi River in Minneapolis is, I don't know why, and I couldn't figure out, like, the history books or anything, but at some point we took a bunch of Somalian people and we just dropped them there. And we built the buildings like they look in a third world country. It's very odd. They're like these pink and blue, weird, like the colors and stuff. And it's just like, you don't hear about it or see it on the news, but it's just like drug ridden and like grimy, like gross, and they don't do anything about it. But they were smart, and what they were doing was everyone was like, how is the big problem was the guns. All these guns was the big issue because they don't want all these guns with Somalians because you got a bunch of Somalians that are from Somalia running around with guns. Right. You're going to have issues, you know what I mean?
They're already pirates, bro.
Right. So ship breaks off.
I'm your captain now.
so ship breaks off. You're in trouble, you know what I mean? And I was like, how are they doing it? And I realized that I started doing some research, and the same thing they did, they would filter people into Canada. You know what I mean? So Canada's like Canada, but there's all this weird stuff up in Canada, too, that we don't even know about because we're never there. And so their people up there were literally sending stuff down, and they'll take a loss on things the same way like drug cartels take a loss on something coming over the border. And they would send things down on these rafts. They would build these like giant rafts that underneath the rafts would have drugs, guns, whatever they were sending down, weighted, and they would come down the river marked. And they would have a time like frame of like how long it took something based on the river current to come from up by Canada down and then hit Minneapolis within like a 72-hour window, pretty much. Where they
There's a fucking river or something that goes
Mississippi River, yeah.
Oh, the Mississippi River.
That place, MISSI.
I never would have thought Mississippi ran to fucking Canada.
So I was staying at the Residence Inn. I had like a 2-bedroom there, and I shit you not, I'm trying to figure this out for them, right? And I go out I'm on the other side of the river now. The river's wide, you know what I mean? But you can see the other side and stuff. It's like the Charles in a way, but parts of it are smaller. And I'm over at the Residence Inn. I walk over to the pier, and I'm smoking a bowl, right? I'm smoking, and I look over, and I see a bunch of Somalian dudes in the middle, like it's gonna be like 1 a.m. out there, and they got these like whale hooks, and they're grabbing buoys and stuff. And I'm like, what are they doing? And that's literally how I figured it out. And they investigated that, and they ended up I got an award for that. I got like a medal at my house. But it was, I think, 2,500 automatic weapons on one of the rafts.
Wow.
So if you want to call me a snitch for that, whatever. Like, whatever. And I got a shitload I got like 10 grand for that. And then I went to Denver. And I was doing stuff in Denver, and by that time, I had been talking to Bernsey, and he was in Vegas running this media company, and I started going and driving to Vegas and working with him working these events in Vegas back and forth.
He's from an older one, 98. His season was 98.
I remember that. I remember watching his season.
And so I'm like, the big joke, like with the company at 944 Magazine, all these dudes remember and come, back up the story because it was so funny. Well, all these kids like run like the Hakkasan now and like all these clubs, but all these kids in the media company were doing these 944 Magazine event parties. Like Jay-Z was at it, Rehab, Poopa, and the joke would always be is like, who's Johnny coming in as? Oh, he's coming in as this name, and that would be the name of my laminates and shit, and it would and that was my story in these pool cabanas with these people. That's how I fit into Vegas as this lunatic, you know what I mean? Personality. Like it was so bizarre. But anyways, in Denver, there was some stuff going down that I didn't want to get. I'm not going to deep into that because I really can't. But I didn't want to get involved in it, and I said, "This is my time. This is my time to dip out." And at the time I was going to Vegas. I had met Forrest Griffin. He was going to play Monster. He dipped out because he beat Rampage Jackson. They wanted $30,000 a week. So while I'm like working with the government, I'm doing all these like deals for the pregame for the movie, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go back. I got Tim Sylvia to play Monster. I got a Red One camera with a Chilean DP attached because this red camera is this huge thing. So I can get that, and I can get another 50 grand. All these dudes in the North End that I knew from living there when I was working at the Comedy Connection were always like wanted to be a part of Oxy-Morons because of the Gandolfini thing. They would pay dudes that were like extras in The Sopranos to come to their restaurant. So I got all these restaurant owners in the North End to invest and match me the 50 grand. So now I had a $100,000 budget to make the movie. And I come crashing in, and I get, because of my relationship with the government and because of these things that I had now done and went from being a shitbag criminal to this stuff, I had connections to get a jail for free where the sheriff was like, here's the master keys. So I went from a kid that was pissing in the urinal to pissing in the urinal and having the master key to the jail in my hand and being like, dude, holy shit, how powerful is your mind that you went from being a criminal thinking your life was never going to be good and it was over to you have the master key to another county jail down the Cape to shoot your movie in.
Because you shot that in
Barnstable County Jail. The old jail. They gave me the key for free, dude. Do you know how much equity that is? And then LB. So I hit LB up, right? LB I loved because LB came to my school, the Eddies in Charlestown, when I was a kid. He had a broken leg, and he let us all sign his cast. And I just thought he had a curly hair, and I just thought he was like the coolest, like hockey player, fighter dude.
You know? LB.
And so he was doing radio stuff, and I said, I need to put as many people in this movie that have some value and can act, but they're not A-list actors because I can't afford A-list actors for this budget. My A-list character is Oxycontin at this point in time.
Well, and even getting like the jail and all that shit, like we know from trying to shoot music videos and shit, getting actual on-site like locations is the toughest fucking
people
thing.
Can say, and that's
schools, churches, hospital, all this shit. It's not easy.
No, and people can say, again, what they want about me, people hate me, but people who respect me, and even the people who hate me and people that question me, like, one thing you can never take away from me is that I'm a natural born hustler. We just shot in Westboro Lunatic Asylum, the horror movie, and Tewksbury.
Right, so you know essentially what I mean? Hustled your way
that's not
into
easy, as you know.
The keys to use that.
And it was super official. I'd be the first one to say, I said it in the Dig article that they did on Habit, which is the movie that I did with Hickey over last winter. I had never been on something where there was trailers, there was fucking catered food every day. Like, I got paid to act. Like, shit was super official.
What is up with that next situation with Habit, and then also how can I get down with future endeavors?
Yeah, for real. But real quick, so just before you get into Habit, just finish Oxy-Morons.
All these Italian guys. This is my story, dude. It's so crazy.
I'll do 2 more hours with him.
So you ready to get weird now? You ready to get real weird? So I grew up fatherless in Charlestown. I don't know my dad. My dad's name was Victor, and he made pizza at Francesco's with his brother Jerry in 1982. Had a one-night stand with my mother. That's all I know about him, okay?
Francesco's in the North End?
Yep.
To this day.
Yep. And that's all I know about him. I come back, Damian DePaulo, who plays Greco in the movie, the cop, the bad cop. Greco ends up being the matching name to my father, Victor, I never knew his last name, Greco. The reason I know my father's last name now is while I'm sitting with Damien, his guys are investing $50,000 and match my 50 to make the movie, and as long as he can play a cop and all that, and get a producer's credit, all this stuff, of course. It's like, you remind me of someone, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, did I rob someone he knows? What did I do in the North End that he, that's in my head, and I'm like, I didn't do anything in the North End. I was always behaved here, so he doesn't know me from, I'm from Charlestown. He's like, no, he's like, you know what it is? You remind me of my friend Victor. And in my head, I'm like, nah.
That's
crazy. I'm like, I'm like, you know what? Whatever, because your life is at this point insane, Johnny, so you might as well just spit it out. And I said, you know what? My dad's name was Victor. I never knew him, but he made pizza, and he goes, the me. He's like, your mother, the girl from Charlestown. I find my father through Oxy-Morons, dude, that I never met in my life. All right, I'm getting goosebumps telling the story. I find my grandmother, all my aunts. Jay's, young at the time, so she gets to be. But the thing about my dad, I meet my grandmother, my uncles, everybody. But my dad was deported before I was born. He was
my dad
ended
up being deported too, back to Canada.
See, we didn't even know that. So he got deported back to Italy, and my great grandfather.
I was gonna say, you gotta be Italian.
Yeah, so not my grandfather, but my great-grandfather, so his grandpa, my dad's, was the Capitan in Naples, in Italy, which is like almost like a political figure for the captain of the police. And he was so ashamed of my dad leaving, coming to the U.S., and, doing crime and being a shithead, and that he banished him from Naples, and he had to go to London and become a chef in London. And out of all the awards that I win making Oxy-Morons, I win Las Vegas, of all places.
Yeah, what type of awards do you end up winning for
Best Director, Best New Feature.
From where?
Las Vegas Film Festival, New York Film Festival, Gig Harbor, Washington. And then I'm the only domestic film to get screened, meaning U.S. film. Domestic U.S. film to get screened that year at the Prince Charles Cinema for the Prince Charles Award.
Where's that?
In London, where my dad happens to live that I've never met. So I fly to London for the first time, my first time leaving the country with this movie that's, in the Vegas Film Festival, getting ready to be released in Revere, where I've been seeing movies since I was a fucking kid, right? And on top of not me only going to Westchester Square to stay at the W to screen my movie in front of people from London, I'm meeting my dad for the first time. My dad's meeting me for the first time while his son's coming over to screen his crime drama with his best friend that he grew up with, by the way. That's the cop in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, how fucking bananas is that, bro?
That's
insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so that's the Oxy-Morons, like, tale. And then Oxy-Morons brings me down this.
Because, Snuk, I don't know if you remember, but when Oxy dropped, like, it was a big fucking deal.
I just remember always hearing it.
Yeah, like, it was just like, it was like that thing everybody talked about. You know what I mean? Like, it was about something crazy. Local.
It's twisted, bro. I was here at AAF. I came in to do the Hillman Morning Show with someone from my movie. I forget who. It was supposed to be Tim Sylvia, but it wasn't. So I forget what happened. I was leaving here, and I was like kind of bent on like the amount of time we got to shout out in the movie and stuff. Whatever. But it's you know what I mean. I'm learning this stuff as I go along too, like how stuff works. You know what I mean? I don't know this media networking world.
Like this is a 10-minute segment.
This is a crash course, Yeah. And so, it was not even, it was just a quick, like, hey, yeah, he's here from the blah, 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 in Revere this weekend. Yeah, bye. But I didn't get to do this. I wanted to do this, obviously, passionately. And I was leaving, and I'm driving down Star Drive. My phone rings, and it's this, like, lady. She's like, hello, I can't even do the accent, but she's like, asking my name. And I'm like, who, like, is that, like, one of those, like, weird calls for, like, you want to cruise or some stuff, get credit card? And she's like, my name's Mariano Vanzella, and I'm like this journalist, and I'm doing this thing for OxyCon Express 2, and we've seen your stuff, and we want it. So they end up making me a part of the current TV documentary, OxyCon Express Gateway to Heroin, which was filmed in Boston, and gave me a field producer's credit on that too. And so now I'm on current TV at the time. I was owned by Al Gore and Keith Olbermann, is that his name?
Yeah. Keith Olbermann.
Olbermann.
I fuck with that.
And that was a big network. It was like the Vice kind of back then. And then Liz Bruna, Ferrone, obviously, who always have the Dig, the Phoenix, so I get all this like media shower in Boston, in New England, and nationally, actually all over the world on current TV. Eventually, you know what I mean, because it goes viral, and I get a release in National Amusements. You know what I mean? Revere, Woburn, and Randolph,
which is crazy.
I remember seeing the poster. I don't even know where, but a few times I would see the big ass Oxy-Morons poster. I would hear people talking about it a lot. I just never got to see it yet. It's crazy because I was supposed to see it
Yeah, so like the DEA.
I'm gonna let you borrow the DVD. We got the DVD.
Yeah, I got
right
the thing
there.
about the crazy thing about Oxy-Morons that some people still know is like the DEA agents that raid the house that are like the CERT team with the guns. That was the real DEA agents from Boston in my movie. With their real guns that I don't even know were loaded or not, kicking and just to be in the movie with me and help me out because and they not only did they believe in me, but they believed in the story of Oxy-Morons. It's not glamorizing the street life. It's not glamorizing drug dealing. Yeah. It's not glamorizing getting high. It's showing the collateral damage and the belly of the beast. And everybody kind of wanted to be a part of, helping what is now even worse, sadly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
I mean, it is directly because of the Oxycontin epidemic why the heroin epidemic is the way it is now.
Absolutely.
I mean, 1,000%. That's how I fucking got
right.
it,
So to watch that, you know what I mean? I always feel like this need to keep Oxy-Morons alive.
And you did a great job with that.
Dude, my first
I want to say that too.
like,
the movie is fucking good. The movie
Stiz
is
always
good. It really is. I mean, for a fucking independent filmmaker, for
it's not easy to shoot a music video, as you know. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like a feature film with jails, courthouses, makeup effects, guns, robberies, fights, and everything. My perspective looks on point. You know what I mean? It looks real.
So Oxy-Morons comes out. It does really well. Where do you go now?
So, Oxy-Morons comes out, and this is kind of what hit me hard. Is some stuff happened to me after the release of Oxy-Morons, and I got on Netflix, which is a big deal, but Netflix wasn't like the big payout that everybody thinks it is for an independent film. It's like $60,000 for your average indie film, and it's 30 up front.
I love finding this shit out.
30 up front, and then 30 broken up over 18 months. But now I'm paid everybody, like all my money, like from the cinemas and stuff, is done. You know what I mean? So I'm like living off the movie, small, but I own the percentage of the movie now myself. So that's a big deal to get that kind of money and get that, you know what I mean, attached to your film. But that goes quick, dude. You know what I mean? And so everyone sees me on Netflix all over the country and thinks, wow, he's rolling now.
So because that's a one-time payout.
One-time payout. And then they'll offer to like keep your thing up there. They want to keep my movie on Netflix exclusively and not pay me, basically. And it was like, hey, you get free P&A and you get to be known on Netflix.
What's P&A?
Like, marketing, like, to visibly see a film on wherever Netflix is putting it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So a P&A budget, your budget for marketing. And
so you told them flat out no?
No, I said, give me that.
Yeah.
Just give me that back. And I went to Hulu, and Hulu bought it. They didn't buy it, but I got a percentage of the views. But Hulu was weak still, you know what I mean? Like, it was never like where it needed to be.
Yeah, it never popped off.
And then how does it get to where it currently is now, where you were telling me?
So I've been working with a distributor, and I did there's all these other crazy stories in between all this where I become friends with Tom Sizemore, and Tom puts me in a movie called House Rules, and the writer of House Rules, Eric Weinstock, who's a dentist in Canton, his best friend or one of his friends is the VP at In Demand in New York, which In Demand controls all the on-demands for every network and all the pay-per-view. So In Demand is the company, but then On Demand are the separate, like Xfinity, which is the best. So out of like Comcast, Verizon, Cox Cable, Time Warner, I'm thinking of all these other networks that I've been with in a channel of things trying to get on. Comcast Xfinity is the biggest. There's 30 million subscribers in the country. So you get on Comcast, you're pretty legit. You know what I mean?
That's the one, yeah.
And this April, I finally got them to license Oxy-Morons for 7 years. So for the next 7 years, 30 million people in the country have access to watch my movie.
That's awesome.
That's
for how much? For $5?
$3.99.
For $3.99. Do you get any of that money?
$1.99.
Half. 50%.
So I'm working with this like social media duo out in New York called Media 33, and they do like social media for different like some people like with Wu-Tang. I think like I gave you a couple of the. I'm not such a huge rap guy, but no, it wasn't RZA, but it was a couple of other people I mentioned.
Ghostface Killer.
Ghostface Killer. They do social media for these people. And Capone and Noriega, that was the other people that do stuff.
Nori, who has the biggest podcast in the game right now.
So these guys do stuff for all them, and now they're connected to Brandon Novak, who's Bam Margera's friend from Jackass and those shows, and he's out speaking against the opiate epidemic because of his stuff that just happened with it.
I was just telling Stiz last week about the Bam Margera documentary.
So I literally, because of this social media company that I brought in on a share basis, I didn't have to. Usually they charge a huge retainer, and I said, hey, here's the deal, guys. I don't have time for this. Oxy-Morons is going on Comcast. I'm getting $1.99 a view. I'll give you 25 cents a view. You know what I mean? Like I just broke it down with them, like what we need to do to have them push it. So they start pushing it, but then they're connected to Novak, so they get me and Novak on a three-way. So now I had a conversation with Novak. Meanwhile, I'm on an MTV with CT, who's in my new film. And
so that's what I want to talk about. I got to finish the story, but then how did you have it?
Oxy-Morons filters me down now into like really, what happened in between all that was I got caught up in the partying and the not like drugging, but like getting in free everywhere, getting VIP tables, and be able to have connections with managers at nightclubs to get a night for a deal and make money off the bar and the door, and that became my hustle. And I was doing good. Like I was doing like a pool party every summer and a Halloween party. But then I'm like, dude, I'm not like making movies. What am I doing? You know what I mean? All I care about is like everyone thinking I'm cool at a table with girls. Yeah. Like wake up, dude. Like you need to get. And so I create Habit. I create a few different movies, but Habit was made the most sense to move because horror movies are the easiest movie to market and sell. Yeah, every horror movie that comes out is not a huge budget and there's no names in most horror movies. Now horror movies become so popular that there are names in them, but at the time when horror movies come out, dating back in history, they were made without celebrities. A lot of celebrities started. Johnny Depp, Nightmare on Elm Street.
That was his first movie.
So Jesus Garcia plays the other guy with him, the one who's with the girl. Yeah. So he's my friend that I met at the Las Vegas Film Festival, was out in London with me. And
didn't Jennifer Aniston's first movie was Leprechaun?
She was in Leprechaun?
Yeah. Kevin Bacon.
Tremors.
No, Friday the 13th.
Kevin Bacon was in Friday the 13th?
Yep.
Really?
But like you said, all them horror movies, like the Paranormal Activity, all these things, they shoot them for no money.
Those are ridiculous. Millions. Yeah, so they shoot them for nothing.
Oh, yeah, look at Blair Witch.
That was So all you need is something that you can market. So I've come in and made a film that not only is about drugs and horror, but also has an MTV. Through my connections through MTV, through my friend CT being on there, I've been able to attach him, and then I attached all these different girls that have been on not the challenge. Well, one girl's been on the challenges, the other one's on I Either One, and the other one's just on Real Road Vegas. But they're all got an MTV.
I watch I Either One too.
Thing.
It's a great show.
Is it?
It's pretty good, yeah.
And then CT's been bringing me out to all these reunions and events, and I've been networking with MTV people and all his cast and crew, and now I'm friends with the girl from Wild 'N Out, Justine Valentine, the redheaded girl.
The redhead. She was the one I was telling you about last week that did the For the P challenge.
Yes.
So she did it for the D.
I thought you guys were talking
I can
about
say
the same
I can
person.
say officially today. I can't say what track or anything, but I can say officially today that I'm directing her video in November now.
That's
that'll
dope.
be my second music video coming off of Stiz's.
Dope.
So that's like it's like the cross promoting and everything is just huge. So
she's talented, yo.
Is she?
Yeah, I peeped her. She's talented.
So I put my game face on. And I said, you know what, horror movie. I got investors to believe in what I was doing, put up the money. I got Westboro to give me permission to go in and film in this lunatic asylum.
What was your budget like?
$100,000, dude.
$100,000.
But that's cash, and I should never say that. Like, you know what I mean? I should say $3 million. You know what I mean? We should dump that because you don't want the buyers to know that they're only going to try to give you what you're worth.
Yeah.
But my cover on all that always is the equity. You know what I mean? What would that have cost as an art department, that lunatic asylum? What would the cop uniform? You know what I mean? So in cash,
Stiz Grimy.
Stiz Grimy.
That's
you know
a
what
big
I mean?
fucking fee.
But see, all jokes aside, CT's massive on MTV, and he's got 3 seasons on right now, and another one coming out in 2 months. Like that's like massive, and you know what I mean. So now I'm attaching not only the MTV audience, but the horror audience, my cult Oxy-Morons fans. So I got I have a bigger spectrum of where this movie can go right away than what Oxy-Morons had, because I have the Oxy-Morons people already, and now I add MTV and horror to the mix, and that's just 2 huge markets, like
that's how I end up meeting Johnny. He starts to develop Habit, and then reaches out to me, and is just like, "Yo, I've heard your music. I fuck with you. Like I'm doing this movie. You should just come audition for it."
So you just heard Stiz's shit, or
but I seen him too in like an article or something, and it was a story about how he was from Chelsea.
Oh yeah.
And once I read that, I'm like, damn, one of my cellmates was from Chelsea, and he was like the only like white kid I knew from Chelsea. His name was Mikey Bernard, and he was a wicked solid kid, wicked good kid. I became good friends with him, and I was reading his story, and I was like, even though it's about music and rapping and stuff, how much similar it was to mine and how much I respected somebody else. I'm not a hater. Like, if anybody else is doing what I'm doing, and whether it's making movies or, like, no one's doing that. So a lot of people in the scene hate on me because I'm making movies and they're getting distributed or I'm getting money to make them, whatever it is. Yeah. But anybody who's doing it, and especially anybody who's, if you're doing it in general, I don't care if you come from money, I give you props. But anyone who's doing stuff like that from the ground up and having,
I give you more props if you don't come from money, though. That's
absolutely. Absolutely. No, I'm saying, you know, in the game of, like, money makes everything easier. So when you have money, it's like, you know what I mean? You can't say that you're a tear up from these guys that are like us, coming from nothing, and all odds are against us, and we somehow are driven right through. Because if we had money, maybe it wouldn't make us the people we are to be so talented, I believe. But to see your story, I was like, and to be right on the other side of the bridge, and I was like, wow, I respect that. I don't even know him, but I like instantly like had respect, and then I
that's dope.
Then I searched him. Then I searched him, and I listened to some of his. I'm like, wow, this is actually. I'm not even a big rap dude, and I like this. Like, reminds me of, like, I hate to say it reminds me of Eminem, dude, but that's, I know, dude. I know, but it's like that's like saying to me, that's like saying to me, your movies remind me of like Quentin Tarantino's, and I would respect. It's a compliment, dude. It's not trying to say that you're trying to be like him, dude. To do what you're doing is amazing, and I think it.
I mean, it's you want to get compared to somebody like that as opposed to getting compared to like fucking Lil Yachty or something.
Yeah, it just had that vibe, you know, just instantly is what I thought. I was like, oh, and he's just, you know, in his story,
and he's a horror dude too.
Right.
He was looking to do a horror.
Yeah, and he talks about all this like little bizarre stuff, and so I do the next thing that I do whenever there's someone in the hip hop world or rap world that is reaching out to me or I'm trying to get in touch with, you know, network with, as I reach out to Ferrone and I say, yo, what's up with this dude? He legit, you know what I mean? And Ferrone's like, you know, had nothing but great things to say about you. So that instantly like put you like on a top shelf in my, you know, the network, you know, and then me and you talked and you had said that same thing to me. Yo, people talk trash about you, but I'm going to judge you for me and your relationship, not whatever. And I was like, I respect that. I respect you not pretending that you didn't hear stuff, and I respect that you're wanting to be your own man and not let other people cloud your judgment because they just don't want to see you grow and network and segregate yourself from people that potentially you could do amazing things with, you know?
And we created what I think is going to be a very dope project. I mean, I
can't wait to see that.
Yeah, so that's the thing is I told him, you know, my next project, I will keep you in mind. I think you'd be a great, that's the other thing is I seen his video where he's like a character, you know, like Stiz Grimy. And I'm like, this is like legit. Like this, there's something there, you know what I mean? So I said, next film I do, I'm going to bring you on. And he's probably like, yeah, whatever, dude. You know, people say stuff. And sure enough, we met at a coffee shop. And I was like, yo, I'm going to have you come in and read at the hotel. He came in, he crushed the read. And genuinely, he was my best actor on set to the point where...
Stiz?
No, he was. He was the best actor on set. And for this movie, in Oxy-Morons, I was the director and the lead actor with a bunch of other amazing semi-lead roles. But like my character was definitely the lead in Oxy-Morons. And that was a lot. And now in this one, I wanted to focus on the storytelling and directing and visuals without having to be in every scene. So I have a smaller role, way smaller role than I did in Oxy-Morons in this. But I was able to work with the actors, which is what I wanted to do, and get these expressions and all these different things that I wanted. And he was so good that I ended up rewriting the story and changing it to a whole different kind of twist and taking the girl character down, you know, because you have to do this in an independent and you don't have professional actors. You got to roll the punches and be ready to switch stuff up. Someone could get hurt. And
someone could cancel.
So Stiz's top-notch acting ability forced you to rearrange your whole movie.
But I mean, it's not like I was working with Brad Pitt.
It didn't force me to rearrange. You were working with a lot of people that are used to having cameras around them. That's the thing. So not acting necessarily, but you know, my boy CT crushed it. But he was the villain. But out of the group of other people that weren't the horror villain, let's just say, Stiz like was just crushing the camera. Like he was just so natural. It looked, and I was just like, this is the only way. If I have bad act, if I let the pretty girl lead the way and her acting's horrible, it's gonna ruin my movie.
The worst.
So if I gotta take the ugly kid from Chelsea and make him the lead, right? We can't make him shine too much. Then, you know, we gotta tear him down a little bit.
Bro, the teeth,
the tear him down. I gotta do some visual effects on this girl, but
I'm the good-looking one here. I need good-looking roles. That's when you holler at me.
But he crushed it, and so we shot this film in the dead of winter, like literally fucking freezing out in Westboro Lunatic Asylum, no running water, no heat, you know, in these places borderline haunted, you know, but we did it, and we got it.
Remember, that was last winter, right? You were telling me to come down to the set a couple times.
You should have come down.
I wanted you to meet him.
I would have probably threw you in, too. I probably would have found you something. I found a bunch of people did that, and I would throw them in at, like, one of the bar scenes or whatever.
Yeah, it's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
And, so we shot this film, and now it's out at Sugar Studios in Los Angeles. It's a post-production company that I've partnered with. My editor, Paul Buell, who did Oxy-Morons. I brought him out to California with me. I kept my word to him. He ended up, with his talent, landing senior editing position at Hydraulics, where I was doing my visual effects for Oxy-Morons. And now that has left Hydraulics and now is at Sugar Studios as a partner and the lead senior editor there. And I get another huge equity bonus because I get an amazing friends and family rate on a legit, like when I say legit, you've seen some of the videos, right?
Yeah.
The place is
craziness.
Above the Wilter Theater in Koreatown, 4th and 9th floor.
So he's got like a major post-production company editing and working on
like they're doing a Travolta film. They just did a Wesley Snipes film. They just had a film in the film festival at HBO in New York.
Pretty sure Travolta's gay. Just throwing that out there.
I've heard that. You hit the Hollywood stuff.
Is he in Scientology? Is he a Scientologist?
Yes, absolutely.
That's just fruity right there. Yeah.
That's a whole nother. That's another 4 hours of a story. I'll tell you that.
Really?
Yeah.
So, and then also while we were shooting Habit, Hickey said, yo, you should write a song for this movie.
Well, what happened?
Make it about the asylum.
Yeah, no, what happened was you said something. We were just talking about stuff in the rooms that we were going in. I'm like, look at this. I said, I don't remember exactly. I was like something like, look at this room. And he was like, yeah, they have people in here doing the Thorazine shuffle. Like he gave some reference like that.
Yeah.
And I turned around, I looked at him like, yo, that'd be a great song, dude. I said,
yeah, right.
I'm like, you should. And I was just, I was being sarcastic in a way, but I was like, also like, man, imagine he did do it. And I was like, yo, you should write a song.
And then he did it.
And he did, like, not even a month later, he gives me this track, Thorazine Shuffle, and I'm like, whoa, dude. I'm like, we got to, like, really wrap our head around it and do this
well. See, most people don't know yet because he haven't dropped it yet, but I've heard it, obviously, as well. So.
Yeah. No, and people will be hearing it soon, obviously. We just shot the video at the Lunatic Asylum, and it's going to be part of the movie, too. But it's... I mean, the thing's dope. It's just got such a, like,
super dope.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that.
Be on the lookout for Thorazine Shuffle.
And
it's the first real. I've worked on a few music videos, but this is the first one I really took part in, and was being part of the music.
Shout out Rose Glenn as well.
Yeah, Rose Glenn. Yeah, he was great to work with. Everybody that was on there, Bobby Turner, all the girls from the movie, Jay Bird, all the makeup people, Dottie and everybody. But the thing about it was like, even like with the music video, like I'm going in and I'm like, waiting to tell everyone to be quiet, and then I'm like, oh wait, we're not even recording sound. Like, so I had to remind myself that we're just rolling camera. This is like no sounds, like ADR all day long. This is way better. This is one less thing I have to worry about here.
There was a mad funny part, right, where I'm rapping the I was rapping the hook or whatever for the song, and Johnny realizes, like, he's trying to tell me stuff, right? But it's like he said, he's like used to shooting movies where you can't talk in the background.
You gotta be quiet.
So he's like trying to tell me something, and I don't understand. And then you see a light bulb goes on, and he's like, what I thought he said was spit. And so I'm like, he was saying spin. But he wanted me to like just start spinning around looking crazy. And I thought he said spit. So he's like, spit. And out of nowhere, I just fucking
box a clam on the wall.
Which
is
what the
great.
fuck are you doing?
But which is great because that could end up being used and look insane. You never know.
Exactly,
you know what I mean? Just random things like that.
So, we
gotta be.
Yeah, we definitely gotta start wrapping
good with
up.
this?
Yep, that's still going. We're looking good, but
Damn, I can do this shit all day. We didn't even get to none of the. For real, a cut?
Really?
Word? Oh,
all right, well then we'll have to wrap it.
Well, that's because we didn't get to do like an ending where he gives all his social medias and all that.
No, that's all right. But I'm just gonna do like this audio will still be there.
Yeah, whatever you guys need to do. That's awesome.
This audio will still be there.
And I'm gonna come back to it.
So where can people find you? Tell people where they can find you.
Social media, it's at the Johnny Hickey, at thejohnnyhickey.com. Oxy-Morons. Please watch it on Comcast. If you're a Comcast subscriber and have Xfinity on demand, please watch it there. Please spread the word to watch it there. If you have anything to do with the opiate epidemic or just want to see a cool crime drama, independent film, support of any of that stuff,
I'm gonna check the shit.
Check it out on Comcast.
It's a good movie.
And if you don't have Comcast Xfinity, it's on Amazon Prime. And you can get a free Amazon Prime account for like 7 days if you don't have one, and try it. Watch my movie.
I think it's like a month, actually.
Something, 30 days. It is 30 days. And then if you can't even do that, it's on Big Star TV for free with commercials. So please check it out. And and then be watching for Habit too, which will be dropping the beginning of this year, the winter. So this winter we'll be dropping Habit.
I'm really excited that I got to be part of a horror movie. We do have breaking news real quick. Nelly got arrested this morning for rape.
What?
Right.
Yes, Nelly was on tour with a country
literally
star.
As we were walking in, you told me this. So
it broke.
I didn't hear any. We don't know details. I'm not quick to talk on shit like that.
Yeah, no, that's
without knowing if it's. You don't throw the R word around like that.
No.
Yeah, the lawyer has already came out, but so he was arrested this morning in a Walmart parking lot in Washington. He was doing a tour with Florida Georgia Line. I think they're like a country artist.
We can hit on that next week. I want the facts.
Yeah, but his lawyer did just release a statement. Nelly is the victim of a completely fabricated allegation. Our initial investigation clearly establishes the allegation is devoid of credibility and is motivated by greed and vindictiveness. I'm confident once the scurrituous, accusation is thoroughly investigated, there will be no charges. Nelly is prepared to pursue all legal actions against
we'll have to hit on that. Now, I got a bunch of shit.
That's always a touchy thing. I just want to fly through some things real quick while it's this week. Ralphie May passed away. R.I.P. to Ralphie May.
Met him a bunch of times at the Comedy Connection. Wicked good guy.
A real quick,
real funny.
Really? Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I thought he was
45 years old.
Oh my fucking god.
Cardiac arrest.
I mean, but he was a heavy dude.
That's fat boy shit, right?
Yeah.
That's too much dairy.
Yeah. A real quick story.
No,
3 weeks ago, bro. 3 weeks ago, I had Ralphie May booked to come on Maddie and Nick. He was supposed to call at 4:30. 4:30 comes, he never calls. His agent emails me and is like, "Hey, did Ralphie call?" I'm like, "No, he hasn't." She's like, "Oh shit, like I don't know what's going on." We never hear from him again.
Wow.
Off air, we were like, "Oh shit, like imagine if something happened. He's a big dude, like whatever. That was 3 weeks ago, bro.
Crazy. And the article said that he did a show the Thursday night.
Yeah, he was out in Vegas.
They found him on Friday.
Vegas, obviously we can't get into this. RIP everyone in Vegas. I was literally just fucking standing there in that same parking lot a few weeks ago.
I should live there.
The victims who used to
absolutely.
live there. Snuk, have you ever been to Vegas?
Nah, not yet.
We gotta get you.
I did AC a couple times, which was I can't wait to do Vegas. You brought up, because we were talking about all this shit earlier, like Netflix. Netflix just upped their prices.
Yes,
that was a thing that happened.
$1 subscription, Netflix.
That's why Xfinity. One of the reasons, real quick, why Comcast brought me on was this thing that's going on with it. They're getting all the content that Netflix doesn't have because Netflix content isn't massive. They have their own stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
And they got money right now, but they're playing a dangerous game because Comcast is still the big boy. And if they,
but Comcast charges me fucking $200 a month, guy.
I know, but
I'll go with $15. I'll go with $15 Netflix every day.
Right.
Yeah, but for somebody who watches live shit like sports and or like certain news,
you need Comcast.
Yeah. So if you're a Comcast person, what they're doing now that Comcast never did was you've seen it. They're turning the Xfinity Online into a massive platform. So if you're at Comcast, you don't have the need for Netflix unless it's a Netflix.
Well,
thing
Comcast has a deal with Netflix now. I can
watch my Xfinity.
You can flick it over.
So Netflix right on Comcast. So right on the Xfinity.
I think it's going to be one of those things where like,
that's right. Yeah.
Netflix is always going to be big in this new digital world, but they're going to have to like wingman with Comcast. It's what I'm envisioning, you know.
Can I also say real quick with the Vegas thing and the gun control? I do think we need gun control. I mean, the place that this guy bought the fucking guns, the store.
Listen, there is no need for anyone in this country to have automatic weapons.
Guys, the name of the store that he bought this shit, Guns and Guitars.
Yeah,
you know we have a fucking problem if there's a store named Guns and Guitars.
Before this stuff even started happening, and terrorism and all that, and just weird, wacky stuff like that, we have so many people that are friggin' mentally ill. You know what I mean? And they can, in certain states, can just get these guns that can be modified or even automatic weapons. It's just there's no need for it. Like if someone, I'm not even a hunter and I'm not even into that.
Right.
But if someone wants, that's their right to go get a rifle and hunt or have a handgun in their house to protect themselves. Fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. But the machine guns and the AR-15s, I mean, what is that going to be used for?
So we should
to catch a buffalo? Like, come on.
This. Like,
my
only thing with
dude, I stopped 2,500 guns from coming in, automatic weapons, and so you guys can kind of understand in your own. Maybe you wouldn't have done what I did to stop it, but I didn't at that time. I felt no remorse for stopping that because. They're only going to end up killing somebody.
You're talking about ARs. You're talking about machines that were only meant to take out hundreds and just mass amounts of people at once. So, like, what does a person need that for?
Right.
Yes. You don't need that to kill it. You're not going to pop up a deer 50 times.
And when one old white dude can get 30 of them into Mandalay Bay, what can a group of any kind of people, white, black, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Any group of people that are against another group of people or against society in general, what if 30 people have 30 of those? You know what I mean? Now what's going to happen? It's going to be a massacre.
I've never heard one single intelligent argument on the other side of why we need these in this society.
And the proof is in the pudding.
Anything more than a handgun.
I'd love to bring someone in and shred them, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know?
It's almost too easy, but I don't understand.
The proof is in the pudding. In the states that have stricter gun laws, there's less gun deaths. In states that have fewer gun laws, there's way more gun deaths. You know what I mean? Australia had a mass murder like 12, 13 years ago. Passed a law, got rid of all machine guns. Have not had one mass murder since. Zero.
And we deal with this shit every few months out here.
And then real quick, I just want to end with Brady. Is Brady all done? No, Snuk?
Not even close.
Not even close.
I'm not a huge sports guy, but I know my basic. The guy won the Super Bowl last year. You know, when people go out, they go out. Last year
he should have went. He should have went out last year, bro. Would have been on top. Dude, no one would have ever been able to say shit because.
But if you're making that kind of
Snuk
money,
says,
dude,
and that's true, the money. And then Snuk says he is trying to get it to a point where no one can beat his record of Super Bowl rings.
Get the 6th and then be out.
Yeah,
I was happy with the 5th, but
I think he can still do it. I mean, the guy again last year won the Super Bowl. Why is he done this year and still be done? You know what I mean? Like just because the games. We've seen this before, and then they're always better.
Same brand new.
They're always better later in the season, except for when they're going 18-0. You know what I mean? So besides that, they're always flaky in the beginning. So wait till the playoffs and then say that Brady's done. At least do that. You know?
I like it.
Oh, and Slain in Term just dropped the album.
Anti-Hero came out came out Friday night. It's available
Slain
everywhere.
Slain and Terminology. Joint album.
That's gotta be intense, huh? Them two,
it's pretty crazy.
Have they done tracks together before?
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought so.
We've been fucking with Slain for years. But
I remember I listened to his track back in the day with the dude. I want to say Rob Kelly from Ireland, like a dude from Ireland and Slain. Do you remember that?
Word?
Yeah, it was some crazy stuff. Check it out, dude. It's pretty good.
But that shit is out now everywhere. The first single is produced by DJ Premier, features Bun B and Everlast.
They just went out there to shoot the video.
Yeah,
wow,
that's what came out
intense,
for
huh?
music.
And we need advertisers.
Sunday night.
Sunday night, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All good.
So we'll be at the release.
ST The Squad album is out now everywhere. It's myself, Terminology, Easy Money, Rex, DJ Deadeye. Album out now everywhere.
I got a new video, Thorazine Shuffle. Make sure you are on the lookout for that. That shit'll be out on Halloween.
Yeah, we'll be
Johnny directed that. Johnny helped direct that.
Awesome.
Johnny.
Make sure to hit like on the Stuck on Stuff Facebook page.
Yes,
and,
follow us.
Subscribe to the YouTube page if you want to watch the visuals of this shit. As always.